New comic book day is right around the corner, so it's time to take a look at all the books on my pull list. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is the pull list. In fact, it's the first episode of an all new, all different pull list, a pull list rebirth, a new 50. All right, sorry. The new 52 doesn't quite work out, but this is the pull list. It's my weekly series where I take a look at all the books coming out. I'll tell you what I am grabbing personally. I'll tell you what's on the chopping block. We'll even talk about some new series debuts that are on the radar for this week of new releases, January 8th, 2025. This video is powered by Global Comics, but we'll talk more about them later. Now, you guys, if you're used to the old format, I kind of just run down all the books I'm grabbing. I'll tell you what my budget is and, whether or not I stayed under my budget limit. But I always like to start with the books that I am most excited for. And so I want to introduce the first brand new segment, and it's called The Top of the Pile. Now, this week is not crazy. When I go to Fight or Flight Comics this Wednesday or Saturday, probably Saturday, they're kind of far from me now. But when I go there this Wednesday, there's only 7 books on my pull list. If I buy everything that's waiting for me at the shop, I'll only spend about $32 after my subscriber discount. But I always like to start with the books that I am most excited about. And so let's talk about this week's top of the pile. On top of the pile this week are 3 series, 2 from DC, 1 from Marvel. But at the very top of my reading list this week is going to be Aquaman issue number 1. This is a brand new series debut written by Jeremy Adams with art by John Timms. Now, Aquaman, funny enough, I have never picked up an Aquaman book off the stands or in the shop ever. When I started reading comics in 2019, his series was already kind of like midway through. It eventually got canceled, and they had like some other Aquaman-centric tie-ins. There was a Black Manta series. There was the Jackson Hyde. His name is Jackson Hyde, right? I keep wanting to say Jackson Lansing. Those are comic book writers. But the point is, they've had different Aquamen and like I can't remember, Aqua Boy, Aqua Lad. The point is, we've had series going on in Atlantis, but this will be my first proper Aquaman series, and I'm very excited about it. And by the way, it is written by Jeremy Adams, who is one of my favorite writers. And I think, like, just for my money, he's the next superstar at DC to bank on. He had a super solid run on The Flash. He's writing Green Lantern right now, and they just announced a spinoff series, Green Lantern Corps, or is it Green Lanterns? Either way, the point is he's writing 2 Green Lantern titles. Shout out to my man Mo Hampton, though. And then he's got this Aquaman series, besides the fact that he wrote a ton of DC animated properties and stuff. So the point is, Jeremy Adams is a name to watch. And if you've never read a Jeremy Adams book, Jeremy Adams tends to find whatever is most fun about a character and really bring that forward while bringing you some heart as well. And so Aquaman should be really fun. I've only read like bits and pieces of Jeff Johns' Aquaman. I actually just pre-ordered the Aquaman by Peter David omnibus, so that should be here soon. But anyway, I'm excited to get started with Aquaman, a brand new debut as part of this DC All-In initiative. Still all in your pockets, all 2025. But let's move on. That one's got a cover price at $3.99, by the way. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, though, is Absolute Batman issue number 4. This one it's written by Scott Snyder, which it's always written by Scott Snyder. Nick Dragotta is typically on art. There is a guest artist for this issue. This is a special kind of, I don't want to call it an origin, but it's like an origin issue kind of showing you the earlier days of this Absolute Batman and Bruce Wayne. And I'm excited to see, just how it goes. Like we've seen Bruce in action and having all these different stations all across Gotham. But I'm excited to see like what really got him started and how he really, got on his sort of revenge mission, if you will. So Absolute Batman issue number 4, definitely the second book at the top of the pile this week. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And the last book at the top of the pile this week for me is Ultimate Black Panther issue number 12. Ultimate Black Panther, written by Brian Edward Hill. The art had been by Stefano Caselli. I'm not sure who's doing the art in issue 12. But we've had this whole war going on between like Wakanda and other neighboring countries and people that have been inspired by the gods of Ra and Khonshu, or the collective forces of the Moon Knight. And so we finally have come to this point where it's going to be T'Challa versus Moon Knight for all the marbles. Honestly, man, the first year of the Ultimate Universe has been amazing. And this has been some of the most exciting stuff in comics, at least on my pull list. It's the stuff that I fall behind on the least. And I think that's probably the best compliment I can give a book in this situation. So Ultimate Black Panther, this should be a very exciting, action-packed issue for all you folks that say it's too much of a slow burn. Have some fast burning today. That's terrible. That's such a bad joke. Anyway, that's it. That one's got a cover price of $4.99. I'm grabbing cover A, and that was the top of the pile. So just for the future, the top of the pile is going to be at the most the top 5 titles on my pull list for a given week. The books I can't wait to read when I get to the shop. But now it's time for another segment. It's kind of familiar. It's called On the Radar. Now, On the Radar, these are new number ones, new series debuts, or even new story arc and jumping in points for you that seem interesting. So they may or may not be on my pull list, but I did want to shout them out. Now, the On the Radar segment is powered by Global Comics. Global Comics is my favorite app for reading comics digitally. They've got a growing library of publishers, and they have new titles up every single week. In fact, they just added a new slate of collected editions from DC Comics. So they've got a bunch of stuff from the regular collected editions, like they just threw up the first trade paperback of the Josh Williamson Green Arrow run. They also went in the archives and threw in a bunch of Black Label, some Vertigo stuff. So there's a lot to dig into with this new selection of DC Comics, but they've also got all your favorite indie publishers. I'm talking Dark Horse, Dynamite, Image Comics, and the list goes on and on. So check out Global Comics. You can get an annual gold pass if you use the link in the description down below. It actually does help the channel out, and it saves you 30% on that gold pass, and that unlocks anything that was previously behind a paywall for a full year on Global Comics. So shout out to Global Comics. Use the link in the description down below to check them out. And now let's start with the first book that's on the radar, a brand new series debut from Oni Press as part of their relaunch of the EC Comics imprint. This is Cruel Kingdom, issue number 1. Now, we've had Cruel Universe and I forgot the name of the horror anthology that they did. You know, I don't really do horror, but this is a sorcery anthology, sort of sword and sorcery fantasy type stuff. So if you're into that, books like Conan, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings type stuff, fantasy is a realm I don't really delve into very often. And maybe if you're someone like me who doesn't delve into fantasy, it's pretty cool to get a few quick in and out stories to decide if it's something that you're really into or not. But Cruel Kingdom issue number 1, brand new sword and sorcery anthology. Cover price on it is $4.99, and that's out. By the way, if you wanted to check out the Cruel Universe, their sci-fi anthology, you can actually check out the first 2 issues on Global Comics. So shout out to them. Next, a new number 1 from Marvel Comics. This is Daredevil, Unleash Hell, the Red Band edition, issue number 1. It's written by Erica Schultz, but the whole Red Band initiative, you know, it's supposed to be like more bloody, more gory. This one stars Elektra, who is already a bit of a more unhinged Daredevil. She's estranged from Matt in this series for whatever reason, and she's out there hunting demons and taking names. Speaking of hunting demons, there's also a new Magic series out this week, but both of those have cover prices of $4.99, and that's cover A there. Next one is one that I think I'm gonna pick up, but this is What If Mickey and Friends Became the Fantastic Four? Now, this is another one of those Disney 100 what if type stories. We had What If Donald Duck was Thor, and then we had What If Donald Duck was Wolverine, and now we've got What If Mickey and Friends Became the Fantastic Four. Donald Duck as the Thing, Goofy as the flaming torch or the Human Torch. Just sounds fun. So I'm excited about this. Like when they started doing those Disney 100 variants for Amazing Spider-Man a while back, I was kind of frustrated. Like, why aren't they just doing these in their own books? And why aren't the covers spread across multiple titles? Well, now we're getting these one shots and they are actually expanding on some of these stories from those cover ideas. I don't know how long Disney's 100th anniversary lasts, but clearly more than 1 year. So anyway, What If Mickey and Friends became the Fantastic Four? For my money, I like the Nick Bradshaw cover, but it's got a cover price of $4.99. All right, and next up on the radar, we've got two new series debuts from Dynamite Entertainment this week. The first of them is Green Hornet, Miss Fury, issue number 1. Green Hornet is a character I don't really know a whole lot about. I know that Dynamite's had the rights to this character for quite some time. The only series I really know about is the Kevin Smith Green Hornet, which was supposed to be a movie, and Dynamite convinced them to convinced Kevin to rework it into a comic script. And honestly, it looks really cool. You can actually check it out on Global Comics. But this is a brand new series. It's written by Alex Segura. And Alex Segura kind of jumped onto my radar with that Dick Tracy series that he's doing at Mad Cave. I really like it. I really like Alex Segura doing sort of noir and detective stories. He's writing a question series at DC right now with, kind of similar investigative vibes. And so, hey, the Green Hornet, and I get to be introduced to Miss Fury. Sure, let's try it out. Cover price on it is $4.99. And the last new series debut this week from Dynamite is Zootopia, issue number 1. Now, Zootopia is written by Jeff Parker. The artist on it is Alessandro Rinaldi. Now, Zootopia and Dynamite has really had me in a chokehold with these Disney titles, this whole Disney license they've had for quite some time. Because even if I'm falling behind on one of these Disney titles, there is someone in my household who just wants me to buy the other stuff anyway. So funny enough, my wife just, out of nowhere, turned Zootopia on last night. And so now the whole world is kind of fresh in my mind. That stupid song, Try Anything, that's stuck in my head. And so I'm kind of ready. The table is set for me to enjoy this Zootopia comic. It's actually the one book that's on the radar that I actually pulled and pre-ordered already. Cover price on it is $4.99. I'm grabbing that cover A by Trish Forstner. What's up, Trish? And so that's all the books that are on the radar. Again, shout out to Global Comics for making a lot of these available to you in that app. And now the next segment, we're going to call the Fledgling 4. These are 4 titles on my pull list that are doing fine, but they just kind of missed the top of the pile. Usually it's because I fell behind on them, but it might be for other reasons. But let's talk about a few other books that I'm grabbing this week. Batman and Robin, issue number 17. Philip Kennedy Johnson's writing it, and honestly, there's just too many Batman books on the list right now. And so I have not read Batman and Robin issue 16. So here's number 17. I'm still behind. I just got to get caught up. If I get caught up, maybe it becomes top of the pile material. Maybe it doesn't. But I need to figure it out, or else these books are all in danger of hitting the chopping block in the next month or two. But $4.99 on that. Next up is Transformers issue number 16. This is probably going to be in the Fledgling 4 for the rest of the run because I am so far behind on Transformers. And if I'm honest, the only reason I buy this book is because Daniel Warren Johnson is writing it. And I love the Daniel Warren Johnson covers. I just don't particularly care about the Transformers, and I fell behind, and now it feels like I'm at the point of no return, and I'm just going to collect them all and still wait for a trade paperback before I actually read them. But the first 12 issues of this series are available at Global Comics, so I could read them on my iPad and then, still scurry up to these last 4 issues. But Daniel Warren Johnson, when you see his name, you buy it. At least I do. But I don't particularly care about the Transformers, and it's okay to admit it. $3.99 is the cover price on that one. And the last book in my Fledgling 4, you might have counted and realized there's only 3 titles there. But anyway, I'm not changing the name. Uncanny X-Men issue number 8. Now, the only reason this fell from the top of the pile is because they decided to cross over with Adjectiveless X-Men by Jed McKay and Ryan Stegman. and I had not been enjoying the adjectiveless X-Men, and so I fell behind kind of immediately. This is part 4, which I believe is the final installment of the raid on Graymalkin, which apparently has been exciting and has been running full steam ahead. But between the move and all this other stuff, I've just been running behind, and so I have not read it yet. Who knows? Once I catch up on the event or the crossover, then maybe it'll end up back at the top of the pile. I'm sure it will. Shout out to Gail Simone and David Marquez because they do a great job on this book. Uncanny X-Men issue 8 has a cover price of $4.99. I'm buying cover A. And that's it. So between all these different segments, we've already talked about every book that's on my poll list this week, but I wanted to bring a brand new segment to the show, and I wanted to save it for last. And so this is called Trade Waiting. Trade Waiting is my segment for, as you can guess, new trade paperbacks that are being released of recently released series. And so although you'll notice there are some things here collecting older material, I try to focus it on books that recently are getting collected for the first time that you might have missed out on in singles in the last few months. So starting things off, did you know that DC has continued to publish Batman Scooby-Doo mysteries? I did not, but the trade paperback is at volume 5 this week. And I'm like, dang, I know I got the first 2 trade paperbacks. I didn't know there was a volume 3 or 4 or 5 for that matter, but you can grab it at your local comic shop or wherever books are sold this week for $12.99. Next up is the kind of exception I made because I just had to shout this book out. This is Captain America, the Saga of Sam Wilson, out from Marvel Comics this week. Now, I've seen conflicting price data on this. First, I'll tell you what it collects, and then we can talk about like the price. But this collects all new Captain America, I think issue 0. It collects part of the Rick Remender run, kind of introducing Sam Wilson as Captain America. And then it collects the entire 8-issue Rodney Barnes Falcon series, plus the 0 issue from the Captain America and Sentinel of Liberty and Agent of Freedom something. The newest stuff from Kelly and Lansing. The point, though, is that is a lot of issues. That's a huge, thick trade. And League of Comic Geeks has it listed as $44.99, which will put it in line with Epic Collections, and that honestly makes sense. But Penguin Random House and Amazon, for that matter, have it listed as $24.99. And if this book collects all of that for $24.99, it's an absolute steal. I've never read the Rodney Barnes Falcon run, so this is definitely very high up on my list. I don't have a copy, so I got to go find one. But $24.99 is a no-brainer. At $44.99, it's still a good buy, but you might want to like check and see if you can find the Rick Remender Captain America run or omnibus, because that's been discounted in some places as well. But anyway, that's crazy. That's such a value. Keeping up with Marvel Comics, though, we got Wolverine Madripoor Nights. It's written by Chris Claremont. I don't know who the artist on it is, but it's another one of those like classic creator gets to tell a sort of flashback story set in their own continuity. This one, obviously, on that famous Madripoor Nights, Uncanny X-Men 266, Captain America, Black Widow, and Wolverine, giving us a bit of a adventure. This expands on that, at least from what I can tell. It's a very recently wrapped series. $17.99 for 5 issues, though. Definitely a great value. Shout out to Walmart. Next up, again from Marvel Comics, this is Symbiote Spider-Man 2099. It's written by Peter David. Peter David's been doing a lot of Symbiote Spider-Man stuff. Like literally since I got into comics, Peter David's been doing these Symbiote Spider-Man miniseries, and they are actually doing an omnibus of all of his Symbiote Spider-Man stuff, and I believe this will be collected in it. But this is the most recent 5-issue miniseries, obviously taking Symbiote Spider-Man into the 2099 universe. And so this one's got a cover price of $17.99 for 5 issues. You really can't beat that for all the trade waiters out there. And the last trade I'm going to shout out today is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan. This out from IDW Publishing this week. This kind of is basically like the last word on the Ninja Turtles. Like this kind of takes place after TMNT 150, if I remember correctly. And it's kind of the bow on this era of Ninja Turtles, or that first 150 issue saga of Ninja Turtles. So this will be, I'm sure, eventually collected in volume 18 if you're collecting those big Ultimate Collection volumes. And if not, grab this trade paperback because I don't want to spoil things, but Karai is very important to the new era of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and so you might want to read how things came to be that way in this trade paperback. $17.99 is the cover price on that, again, for a 5-issue miniseries. So these trades averaging out to $4 an issue. 4 times 5 is 20. I did terrible math. Let's call it $3.25 an issue, from a cover price of typically $3.99 to $4.99. So you're saving money buying trades, but you are waiting for those stories. And that's why we call this segment Trade Waiting. And there we go. That is it. Those are all the books on the pull list. Thank you for bearing with me, struggling through these segments for the first time, but we're going to get better as we go on. Let me know how you like the new format. Do you like it this way versus the old way? Let me know how it goes for you. We can argue about it in the comments down below, or you can join me on Discord or Facebook. Links are all in the description. I'll see you guys in another video soon. Until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.